actually struggling. And so some of that stuff has kind of gone over into Jorge's disposition. He said he's the worst, FN player ever to do that. But there is a language barrier. And even still, frustration, despite whatever the language is still going to be akin to what we've seen. He said he was no good to the team, as well as, he wasn't making the situation better, is basically what I'm saying. I think someone else will pick him up. I think he just had a moment as far as, behaving that way. But as long as, that personal doesn't always, I always talk about personal and the profession. As long as he can keep his personal away from the professional aspect of how he behaves, I mean, he could be better with another team, go figure. Now, as for Darryl Strawberry, he just suffered a near fatal heart attack. So thank God he still, is with us, because Darryl Strawberry, had his own controversy back when he was actually an active player. He actually, did have his number retired, number 18, just here a few hours ago, but he actually expressed regret from leaving the Mets organization, especially now when you look back and see that they were kind enough and gracious enough to go ahead and retire his number as an actual Met. So that's my thoughts on that.
But Sonia, put him in the Met Hall of Fame. He deserves to be a New York Met Hall of Famer. Retiring numbers should only be done, like I said, truly iconic players with the franchise. I mean, I don't take it lightly. Like, I was critical of the Yankees, and I like Paul O'Neill a lot. I'm a Yankee fan, but they retired Paul O'Neill's number. Myself, Dr. Paul Semendinger, we were critical of the Yankees for retiring O'Neill's number. Put him in the Yankee Hall of Fame by all means. He deserves it, but not to have his number retired. I want to see the Yogi Berras get their number retired. Players like that, the Mickey Mantles, not the Paul O'Neill.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. Let someone else that can actually flourish with that number use it and possibly retire better with the number. But I actually didn't even think about that. You're right, Jack. Put them in the Hall of Fame. Let someone else use the number and make a better situation of that number rather than the stain, because it's going to still carry a stain. Let's be clear. The fact that they retired it does not negate all the drama that went around with number 18.
Yeah, but even in the case of the Orlando Magic, they retired Shaquille O'Neal's number. He played for them for 4 years.
Right.
They didn't win an NBA championship, and you're retiring Shaq's number as an Orlando Magic. Come on.
Horrible. Well, listen, I think Darryl Strawberry was an iconic player for the New York Mets. They went to the World Series, and probably could have gone to more World Series if they kind of kept their team and their act together.
They won it in '86, yeah.
And he's still, you could talk about him with the Dodgers and the Yankees. He was brought up by the Mets. Him and Gooden are probably the two best players of that era for the Mets. I don't know how many iconic Mets there really are. I mean, you got Tom Seaver. You got, who else is really iconic or is big, well known as Darryl Strawberry or Doc Gooden? I think those are the next two, Jack.
But then a number of guys have to have their number retired. Gary Carter, of course, Keith Hernandez, who they have, Dwight Gooden. I mean, at what point are we going to stop? And if they're not iconic, it's okay. The Mets, you know what they did? They retired Willie Mays' number. Why? Yeah, Willie Mays was with him a year and a half because he was a New York Giant. You're not honoring your own history. Retire.
I mean, the Giants were supposed to take over sort of the Mets for the Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers. That's why their colors are orange and blue. That was supposed to be like a combination of teams and history and all that stuff. I know the Mets had a lot of Dodgers memorabilia and posters hung up when they first came in. I don't know about the Giants. Willie Mays is, everybody wants to have a piece of Willie Mays. And, I don't know.
Not as a Met, as San Francisco Giant, his number should be retired. He was iconic.
It is probable, I would imagine. But I don't know. I'm not really. I don't really get upset about stuff like that. You talk about the Yankees; they've retired almost every number. I think they're going to have to start going to.
Let me throw this at you guys.
They're going to have to put XXX on their jerseys next because they've retired so many jerseys over there.
I mean, a player like Cleon Jones, he was about as worthy to have his number retired as Darryl Strawberry. I'm not bashing Darryl Strawberry. He had an exciting 8 years here and should be in the New York Met Hall of Fame. Absolutely. And if they had a place, a monument park the way the Yankees do in center field to honor certain, famous Met players, whatever, he should have a spot in Monument Park. Yeah, but to permanently retire a number, you're taking it out of commission for good. And that should only be for the greatest of players. I mean, I've said about all I could on this.
Really. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They've retired some. You talked about Paul O'Neill, and I think the Yankees haven't retired some jerseys that are probably more worthy than Paul O'Neill. But I mean, I don't know, Jack. I guess it is what it is. Paul Skeens, young pitcher, fireball thrower, strikes out 9, 22 years old. I've said this to Doc and Jack before. You can have a pitcher out there that can throw a curveball that starts at the sky and drops over the plate. They love the fastball pitchers, Sonia. If you can get that cranking up 100 miles an hour and blow it by these major league hitters, they get all excited. This is a very young, exciting pitcher. He's with the Pirates. Hopefully the Pirates can hold on to him. Sonia, what do you think?
Yeah, his girlfriend Olivia Doon was posting all over social media, which it's actually was Paul's 22nd birthday. So he just, went from 21 to 22 right when he made his first MLB pitch here. And I think they're going to hold on to him. I mean, he's youthful. He's a fresh face to the league itself. And so he's definitely emerging as a leader amongst, not just the Pirates, but in the league as a whole. And of course, the Pirates end up splitting the doubleheader they had with the Tigers. But, Skeens looks good, and happy birthday to him.
Yes. It's always exciting having a new young prospect or pitcher coming up and see if he can continue on doing what he's doing. Fake championship rings for $1.4 million they would have sold for coming in from Hong Kong, were picked up at the I think it was the Baltimore. Let me see if I get a Port of Cincinnati. So yeah, all these different logos: the Yankees, the Patriots, all the big teams, Chicago Bulls. This is why it's so hard. I mean, if you deal in memorabilia, you buy memorabilia, and you even have a authentication certificate there. I mean, there's always a question. I know Michael Jordan's card of the All-Star game just sold for something ridiculous, so $699,000 or whatever. So, if you play in this game, it's very tough to know what you got is worth what it's got, and if it's authentic or not. I mean, who's to say? So anybody out there buying memorabilia, I know the Philly Sports Guys painting goes for about $10. They had a painting done of him, and right now he's driving down the road. Hopefully he has his picture in the back seat. How you doing, Pags?
Yeah, it's $15. Don't shortchange me there. $15.
All right. So, Pags, are you on your way to a Phillies game? Is that where you're going?
No, I'm actually on my way to the Jersey Shore. I have an appearance today for Jason Kelce Day.
Wow. All right. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, we talked. Oh, Jason Kelce. Yes, he's. You guys are going to miss him. He was a leader of that offensive line at center, and but hey, he gave you guys a lot of good years. That's for sure. So.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, when there's the best, and then there's everybody else, and it's rare when you hear about a Hall of Fame center, and that's ultimately he's. So yes, he is going to be missed, but hopefully Jurgens can fill the role.
There you go. Nick, let's talk about the Phillies real quick. You guys are having an outstanding year so far. A little concerned about Castellanos, right? He's having his worst season of his career right now. He's up and down. I think his batting average is about 198. 32 years old, Pags. Big contract. What would it take to get him going again? Or should they sit him and maybe go over batting techniques with him or something? What's the answer over there with Castellanos?
So he's interesting. He's been hitting the ball well. He has been hitting them right to players. And he's got the power, but it doesn't seem like he's got enough power lately. It's like he's been doing a lot of warning track and just before the warning track. So I kind of think that this is a matter of time before he breaks out of it. He still plays every day. He's probably the only player who's played every day. And I think that they haven't really needed him to have a hot bat yet. So when he's had the chance to get RBIs and have guys in runners in scoring position, he's been scoring them. So I think it's just a matter of time before he breaks out of it. I'm not as concerned about that. Obviously, if the record was the opposite way, if they were somewhere close to the 500, I would say that would be much more of a concern. But right now, I think that he's doing, they haven't needed him. And until they start to need him, I don't see any need to try to push him one way or another.
Okay. All right. 76ers willing to offer Jimmy Butler a max contract extension. Pagsy's been hurt lately. I mean, he's a great player, may end up in the Hall of Fame. Are you willing to, are the 76ers willing to give him max money for an extension?
Yeah. I mean, out of all the guys that I've heard that attached to the Sixers, he's the one that I kind of like the best. I'm not a Paul George fan. I think that his best days are way behind him. I think that Jimmy Butler gives them a big enough name to pull people away from Embiid and can also score when they need to, not like scoring 0 points in Game 7 of a playoff series.
Does that impede the growth of Maxey? I mean, Maxey's your young superstar there, and you're bringing in an old vet who loves the spotlight, likes the ball. I mean, does that hurt Maxey's progress?
I don't think so. I think that Maxey is a guard, so I don't see any problem with that. You got Jimmy Butler as a forward, and you got Embiid as a center. I think you need that type of three. So I don't think that that's a big deal at all.
Okay, all right. Hockey thoughts. Rangers get knocked out 2-1. Pags, they didn't get to that magic 3, you said. Pretty good run by them. But again, it doesn't matter whether you win the regular season or not. You got to win in the playoffs.
I tell you, it's a curse to win the President's Cup and get the most points in the league, because it just seems like anytime somebody in the regular season wins the regular season, that it seems that they wind up losing in the playoffs. So my expectation is that Bobrovsky has been hot. I kind of saw it coming. Watching that game yesterday, you just knew that the Panthers were going to try to put it away, and they just didn't. The Rangers didn't have an answer for all of the shots on goal that the Panthers were doing, and they showed one thing where the Panthers had 18 people touch the puck before the Rangers could get to it. And that's you can't do that. It's just, you got to have the puck to be able to do anything. And I tell you, the last 45 seconds of the game, the Rangers were just throwing it down ice, hoping that somebody would get it, and nobody got it. So then it got sent back down ice again. It was just like so haphazard. Kudos to the Panthers for taking care and playing the defensive enough style on them to really hinder, to stop Panarin, to stop Zibanejad. I mean, it was a good series by them.
Yeah, I was looking at a stat that the Rangers only scored once on 15 power plays. You're not going to win any games when you got an advantage and you only score once like that. So, but yeah, good for the Panthers. Pags, Edmonton, I think Edmonton is up 3-2 if I'm not mistaken over Dallas right now.
That's correct.
I mean, does Dallas make a comeback? Does this go to Game 7? And which one of those two teams match up better, you think, with the Panthers?
I think Dallas matches up better with the Panthers. Edmonton has a very similar style to the Rangers. So I think that you would see Florida actually take care of business if Edmonton was to get there. I think that Dallas plays a similar style to the Panthers and have the bruteness to be able to combat some of that bully hockey that the Panthers play. So, but I think Edmonton actually pulls off the series. I've been wanting Edmonton to lose this series, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think they wind up winning this series, and I think it finishes tonight.
How long has it been since the Canadian team has made it to the Stanley Cup, Pags?
So, COVID year, the Montreal Canadiens made it. It's been a long time since Canada has won the Cup.
Right.
So I think that's been like 26, maybe 28 years, might even been longer. So I think that, obviously Edmonton going is going to, hockey night in Canada is going to be much more exciting. But for the most part, it's, I don't think they win the Cup this year either.
Really, no Philadelphia Eagles news that I went through. They talked about a couple of the players and all the good stuff. What's your thoughts on the 18-game schedule that is going to happen eventually, Pags, as long as the money's right for both sides? I was saying that, your replacement players, your backup players level has to be close to the starters now, because you're saying a lot of these players are going to have to be getting a rest during the season if you're going, 18 games instead of 16, 17, whatever.
It's going to be interesting to see when they do that, how many players they're going to add to the roster. Because ultimately, you may only have 45 on playing day, but there is going to need to be more players added. And I think that that's going to be the biggest sticking point from the Players Association on moving to the 18th game. I think that this has been the plan all along. I've been telling you guys this from back when there was only 16 games, that they're trying to get 18 games. They're trying to make sure that every team, or at least half the teams in the league, can go and have an overseas game. And then ultimately it's going to, there's just a lot that's going to be happening, I think, to be able to make that happen. They're going to have to increase the roster to 55 people, I believe. I think it was determined that adding the one extra game brings in an additional $600 million. Well, that's $20 million in cap money for each team.
Yeah. They said they're going to raise the salary cap. Revenue sharing is going to go up with the players. Everybody's going to get a piece of the pie. The owners are going to make out like a bandit. I agree. They're going to probably add. They did when they went to 17. They added more players to the practice squad. I expect that to happen also, where they can move them up and down if they have to. So, all right, Pat.
The practice squad being 15, I don't think that's going to change. I think they actually have to change the actual roster, because when you get to the 18th game, this is a violent game. There's been a lot of injuries. There's always going to be injuries in football. So they have to be able to increase the actual playing day squad rather than just add more players to a practice squad, because that's not going to help for game days.
All
Their second string.
So, Pags, we'll let you get driving. You're gonna Jason Kelce Day. Are you gonna have a picture with him, an autograph? Maybe take him out for a beer. Are you going to be on their podcast? I got a lot of questions for you there.
So I am actually, the podcast that's being done is Hollis Thomas and Irving Fryer. So I'm going to be on their podcast for a little while today, and then obviously. Jason Kelce Day. It's not his birthday or anything. It's just June 2nd, which is 6'2", which is his number. So that's why it's Jason Kelce Day. And we're going to be at the beach. So I suspect that there's going to be a lot of skin and beer.
That's my favorite kind of. That's my two sports I like the best, Pags. Skin and beer. So.
Exactly.
All right, Pags. Listen, Pags. Stay safe. I think you hit something. I saw your car go up and down. Don't worry about it. It's probably
You're just driving 90 miles per hour for sure.
Yeah. So have a good one,
Pags. Not yet. I got people in front of me. I can't drive 90 yet. I'm trying to.
You were a few minutes ago on 95. You looked like you were driving 95.
I was only getting it about 70. This car's got a governor on it.
That's probably a good thing. Pags, have a great day. I'll see you soon, buddy.
See you
All right,
back.
take care, guys.
All right. So there you go, the Philly sports guy, Tulin to New Jersey. Remember the word Tulin? That hasn't been used in a long time. I'm glad I came up with that. And it is June 2nd. And I got to say a couple personal things here. Happy birthday to producer Linda. She was her birthday today. Took her out last night for dinner. Also, congratulations to Dr. Paul Semendinger. He's a grandfather of twins. So that's
wow.
that's pretty cool. So anyway,
Happy birthday,
congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh.
So let's get
and my
to
great grandmother's birthday was today. So happy
well, there
birthday.
you go. There you go. Happy birthday to your grandmother. So let's get to the boxing. We got one of the premier boxing writers in the history of boxing news with us. Also a Hall of Fame boxing writer, 6-time former president of the National Boxing Writers Association of America, Jack Hirsch. You know, a couple meaningful fights yesterday. Well, maybe Zhang and Wilder wasn't really meaningful. I mean, I guess Zhang moves up, maybe, Jack. I don't know, but he knocks him out, in the 5th or 6th inning?
Oh, it was meaningful, Max, because the powers that be badly wanted Wilder to win, because then they would have matched him against Anthony Joshua at Wembley. It would have been an appealing fight again. Wilder was coming off a loss to Joseph Parker, and then he was in with the big Chinese heavyweight. Zhang was also coming off a loss to Joseph Parker, but a close decision loss after he stopped contended Joe Joyce twice. I thought Wilder was a sharp fighter going into the fight. I thought he'd get knocked out in a few rounds, and he got knocked out in 5 rounds. The fight absolutely had no surprises to me at all. I mean, Wilder at age 38, he just didn't have it anymore. He tried to move, jab, box, fight kind of differently the way he did in the past. His right hand didn't carry nearly the same amount of power. And they say the last thing a fighter loses is his punch. I mean, that's a complete myth. That might be one of the first things he loses as he gets older. Wilder just doesn't hit that hard anymore. He's just not that devastating a punch anymore. And he got caught a couple of punches and just basically got put out. He regained his feet before the 10 count. And the fight was stopped. And fortunately was stopped for Wilder, who, you know, something about Wilder is likable, but also you can't forget how obnoxious he was in the past when he said he wants a body on his record. He wants to kill a guy, he said in the ring. And now he's being saved by the referee. So you could take the position, let the fight go on, ref. I mean, who cares about Wilder's well-being? But we all care about his well-being, and we don't want him to see him get hurt. So fortunately, that fight was stopped. And I don't know what they're going to do with Zhang. He's 41 years old. He can punch a bit, but he's limited. Do you match him with Anthony Joshua now? The problem is Zhang can punch a bit. And Joshua, you know, has a so-so chin. What happens if Zhang connects? Anything is possible. It's not necessarily an overly safe fight for Joshua. And then there was another heavyweight fight yesterday. Daniel Dubois beat Philippe Hrgovic. I'm pronouncing his name a little off, Hrgovic. But, and that was a little bit of an upset, even though I thought Dubois was going to beat him by a close decision. But Dubois did better than that. He stopped him in 7 rounds. And that fight would have appeal in England and all British showdown. Joshua against Dubois. So that's somewhat marketable as well. The big fight they want to make is Tyson Fury against Joshua in the UK. It's a real fresh heavyweight fight, but Fury's going to have to rematch with Alexander Usyk in December. And I think Fury could turn the tables in that match, meaning he's then not going to fight till the summer of 2025 again at the earliest, realistically. So, you know, we don't know what direction the heavyweight division's going in. But the Saudis, who are the best thing to happen in boxing in a long, long time, are making all the big fights. they announced yesterday. I forgot how you pronounce the name, Turkey something, but nice man. He's called His Excellency, so I'll call him His Excellency because I get down on my hands and knees to him for the fights that they're making and thank them. They're working actually, and I think they're going to pull it off, making a Terence Crawford Canelo Alvarez match because they're going to throw so much money at Canelo Alvarez. He's going to have a hard time turning that fight down. I mean, is Canelo going to fight for 25 million, a fight 25, 30 million, if they're going to give him 150 to 200 million to fight Crawford? So as insane as it is, it seems like that fight might actually be taking place as long as Crawford takes care of business against Israel Madrimov on August 3rd. He has a fight that's not necessarily a gimme for Crawford. You know, it's possible Crawford could have a bad night, slip up and lose. But if Crawford's in form, he wins that fight. He wins it with room to span, then it's on to Canelo.
So you mentioned maybe Fury against Joshua. Fury would definting have to win the rematch against Usyk for that to happen. I mean, they're not going to.
Exactly.
Right? So how about Usyk fighting Joshua, Jack?
No, well, it doesn't have appeal for this reason. Because Usyk's beaten him twice before.
Right.
When you've beaten a guy 2 times in a row, you can still run it back a 3rd time. But you want to know what's going to be a little different. Joshua, after losing to Usyk, he's had a couple of really good outings his last 2 times out, but one of them was against the MMA guy, Francis Ngannou, who he flattened, and he looked impressive doing it, so kudos to him, even though he's an MMA guy. And the fight before that, he looked good, stopping Otto Wallen in 5 rounds. But to make a 3rd fight, you have to believe there's an excellent chance that things could be different. And I'm not sure the public will believe that. The fight doesn't have the charisma that a Joshua Fury fight would have, and it's about marketing a big fight.
Sure. Light heavyweight Dimitri Bivol versus Malik Sanya, I think is the name, Jack. Sanya or something like that. He wins that, gets in the 6th round. He was scheduled to fight Beterbiev got hurt. So I guess that's the next step, right? Beterbiev in Bivol.
In October. They'll reschedule that for October. Bivol looked good yesterday to the point that he was outboxing his opponent. And then when he opened up all out in the 6th round, he got the stoppage. But everyone's looking forward to Beterbiev Bivol. I mean, that's a great match. But you wonder about this delay, who it's going to hurt more. It might hurt Beterbiev more. I mean, he's close to 40 years old now, Beterbiev. And you can't afford these long delays when you're older like that. And it's a heck of a matchup, Bivol and Beterbiev. Everyone's looking forward to it. It's arguably the best fight that could be made in boxing, arguably.
Okay.
Speaking of delays, I have to chime in how the Mike Tyson got sick last week on a flight from Miami to LA. I remember hearing about it, saying he was nauseous and was met with medical personnel. So his fight with Jake Paul is now being postponed. Of course, Tyson's team is saying it's not that big of a deal if he has ulcers or something like that. But to be met by medical professionals, when your plane lands, is pretty big.
Yeah, the differences involved in fights. Even though technically all of sports is supposed to be entertainment, some sporting contests, let's talk about boxing. Some fights are strictly boxing for purists who love the sports, and others are entertainment that anyone could watch. Tyson Jake Paul is the equivalent of fans going to a Super Bowl party. Fans who go to a Super Bowl party, for the most part, not always, they don't care about the game. They don't know the game. They just go there to eat, to mingle. They're socializing during the game. They miss a couple of plays, then they catch a couple of plays, and they miss a couple of games. I went to one Super Bowl party. My sister threw a Super Bowl party a couple of decades ago. It was the worst, the worst. Okay. I mean, I had one person that asked me what a punt was. They heard it was on
Oh
TV. That's how
wow.
ridiculous. That's how ridiculous. And I'm trying to watch the game, and I duck into another room, and I think I have privacy. And before I know it, there are other people in the room. They're mingling, and it's a waste. But that's what Tyson and Jake Paul is. It's an evening where people get together, have a party, socialize. They'll hardly look at the TV during the undercard, even though there was supposed to be a great women's fight, Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. And then Tyson, Jake Paul come on, and they'll start paying attention to that. And it's entertainment. I mean, uh, with that said, would I get it? I don't know. You have a great. Let's see what the undercard is. Let's see whatever is, but it doesn't. I wish it won't come off Tyson.
Well, he won't be ready for Fury if he can't even get through Jake Paul.
You're joking or you're serious, Sonia?
I'm joking.
Okay, yeah, because Mac gives him a 10% chance against Usyk, a 5%. Okay, so you never know. I mean, I like to needle Mac on that.
You mentioned Saudi Arabia and boxing's worldwide, right? So, I mean, I don't have a problem with another country marketing and getting. England has some great fights. Saudi Arabia right now is the one making the great fights, but Saudi Arabia is getting involved in the rest of the sports too. Roger Goodell has been talking to the Saudis. There's a special company over there that they talk to about making investments in the NFL. New ownership, where the games will be played, marketing overseas. The NBA is sort of in that area right now. They've already been in. There's a certain coalition I don't have in front of me that the NBA G League is playing for over there. So the Saudi Arabians are starting to come over and starting to get into American sports. And I wonder how you guys feel about that. Do you want another country, Sonia, coming in and investing in the NFL or the MLB and maybe changing ownerships? And, how do you feel about stuff like that?
I don't like it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel I still haven't gotten over all of the military involvement we've had in countries like Saudi Arabia. I just feel, and this is just me, I feel like the more we open up to other nationalities and what other countries, that we're opening ourselves up to being exposed. Everyone knows that sports is like an American favorite. That's what we do here. And I feel like even though the United States may have a mindset that, okay, this is a way to build relationships, I just don't trust it. I feel like it's a way to be infiltrated. I feel like I'm not over sensitive about, stuff like when people talk about TikTok and our information being out there, but I'm talking about from a protection, a lifestyle protection. I feel like the United States has certain things in place that they have barriers around so that we're protected from war and hurt and harm. And I feel like just some of these countries, this is just me, I don't agree with it. I think we're putting ourselves out there. I haven't established enough trust with all these other countries, like I said, especially those that we've had issues as it pertains to war. And I don't care for it.
Sonia, we're not sharing military secrets here.
I know.
Sports. I can just talk with boxing. I was anti-pay-per-view for so long because they charged top dollar and didn't deliver quality fights. They just give you a good main event and a very weak undercard. That's what these promoters did for the most part. So I wouldn't get the pay-per-view shows. I wouldn't spend the money on principle. I wasn't addicted like my co-host Frank Laterzo on Glove Fist who'd say, I'm not getting it, and then he'd weaken at the last moment and pay for it. But with the Saudis, I'm paying for the pay-per-view thing now. They're giving me value. They are giving me value, okay, at a reasonable price as well. And if they're going to get involved in the NFL isn't giving up any type of power. It's a business model. If it means more money going to the players and it increases the sport in some way, to say it's just an American sport, you know, I don't see the harm in it. The only thing I don't understand this for the life of me, and I'm not qualified to understand it. How are the Saudis making money out of this? Now, I know the head guy, you know, His Excellency with the Saudis. He's a big boxing fan. He loves boxing. He wants to see the best fights because he is a super fan, and he's in charge of their sports and entertainment, and trying to make the best fights, and he's succeeding in making top fights. But economically, to the Saudis, do they have so much money? Are they going to figure, okay, we can afford to lose X amount, you know, to get involved in this type of entertainment industry?
Well, you know, I kind of agree with Sonia to a point. I don't know about military secrets or not, but I mean,
Yeah, I
military
ain't say that. I'm talking about
Well, that was a
protection.
joke. That was a joke.
military secrets aren't so secret if you want to know the
Yeah.
truth. The thing is, to me, again, boxing's worldwide. I get it, you know, and believe it or not, the Saudis are making money off this. I don't care. They're not just doing it because they love boxing. They're making money. They're getting something from that pay-per-view. And when it comes to the NFL, again, I question how much money do you need? The NFL makes billions and billions of dollars a year. So you go to the Saudis, they make some investments. Maybe they give you a ownership where they end up buying a team that was something nobody else could afford. Who cares? I mean, I don't really believe it's for the players because Roger Goodell does not represent the players. He represents the owners and he represents the league. The players are probably, you know, third on his list. So there's some way to make money here that the NFL can get more billions of dollars. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Sometimes, you know, the greedy person is the one that ends up losing everything. And I don't like influence. I don't like someone else from a different place in a different time and a different set of values and a different thoughts about money and I don't like influence on something that I love, right? I don't like outside influences on my family. I don't like outside influences on my show. I sure don't like outside influences on the sports I love. And that's the only thing I'm worried about. What does this buy them? What does this get them? What kind of influence do they get? And that's the thing that you're not going to know till it happens. And you know, you got to. I think you tread very lightly on this, on getting any foreign country involved in the ownership or the influence on a league, any league, whether it's basketball, Major League Baseball, or the NFL. And it does give me pause. I don't know. I would have to know what Roger Goodell actually is offering for these investments, and hopefully the owners hold them fast, and hopefully everything's explained and that they know what's going on there. I mean, Jimmy Johnson right now, I think he owns the most. I think it's at least our top three. Dallas Cowboys are worth more money than anything. Supposing a Saudi Arabia team buys a new franchise with all their money, their marketing that they can buy. I mean, it can flip power. I mean, money can do that, and the influence is what I'm worried about, Jack.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but we have the Olympics coming up this summer, okay? And it's the old argument. Well, should we boycott the Olympics? Should certain countries be excluded? You know, should Russian athletes be banned because of the invasion into Ukraine? What about with Nike? The athletes that endorse Nike, the main brand, they supposedly in China may be paying slave wages to workers, that we hear things like that. So should we start boycotting Nike? Should we allow athletes to wear certain logos from sponsors on them? I mean, the argument goes on and on as a circle, but if another country's involved, we have a sports league. They can't take over. I mean, what happens if the Saudis want to buy an NFL team and they often own us so much money? But I see your point, Mac and Sonia. Let's say hypothetically, the Saudis who have an incredible amount of money want to buy 8 NFL teams, and the owners are willing to sell to them because they're offering the owners the craziest amount of money that the owners can't turn down. Let's say they want to buy every darn team in the NFL. Do you allow them to do it? Because
No.
now they're really taking over. They have a
Yep.
complete ownership. They could kick out the commissioner. So I see the point that the two of you have, but you have to know who you're dealing with within reason. Okay, what type of threat do they represent any type of threat, or do they really have an ulterior motive beyond just, being involved in the sport?
Well, let me give you an example. Suppose they don't even buy a team, but they're contributing, they're investing in the NFL. There's strings attached to that. I mean, I don't know what the repayment would be. I don't know what the contract would be. Does it include overseas games? Does it include some certain things on the side for them if they invest that much? Again, that's not my thing. But I'm worried. I don't mind boxing. I don't even mind wrestling worldwide. I mean, that's entertainment, and all sports are entertainment to a point. But as we talk about, Major League Baseball doing that with the Negro Leagues without telling anybody, what won't they be telling us behind the scenes with something like this? It just scares me to even have a foreign identity having any influence over the sports I watch. And, I think it's a bad road to go down. And I don't
And
think.
let me.
Go ahead, Sonia.
No, go ahead. You don't think?
No,
I'll
go ahead.
chime in.
I'm good. Go ahead.
And let me give an example that's even more present that we all see every day. Gas. The oil reserves control is outside of the United States. Even though Texas is known for having their own oils, XYZ, we have a lot of offshore oil reserves. I know, I've seen them on cruises. They've been identified, XYZ. When these other entities get ready to bar us from getting our oil, what happens to us as Americans? Our gas prices go way up, sky high. I remember years ago, they were so high, they were basically trying to put a cap on how much you were getting because there was such a shortage. I don't want my sports that I love as a favorite pastime to be controlled by an outside entity. So I just want to give a good example that we all can really identify with as to why something as simple as sports could really turn out to be more bigger than what it really is if you give the control to another entity outside of the United States.
And to piggyback on that, we do have the oil that we could be energy free, but there's deals made with the Saudi Arabians and the other oil nations that I guess benefit something else. And we don't know what that is exactly. We can have ideas of it, but it does benefit somebody somewhere else, and it's not us buying gas. Do the ticket prices go up more? What happens? I don't know. I just know to me it's a slippery slope. I've heard that saying before, and Jack, I just don't want no influence from anybody outside in my sports.
So you would rather have A-Rod be a part owner of the Minnesota Timberwolves than the Saudis have an NBA team.
Yes.
I think it's a good segue into the NBA Finals, a little bit. We haven't discussed it. That's about to begin. The Dallas Mavs against the Boston Celtics. And we knew the Celtics were going to get to the finals. I mean, I'm sure there were a few people who maybe would have picked an upset against the Celtics. But the Celtics were favored before the season and right before the playoffs. They were considered by most a virtual lock to get there. But the Dallas Mavericks have been the big surprise. I mean,
I picked them to sweep. I literally have it on my show. I said 4 at the most 5 games. I picked them. James can tell you. Everybody said it was a bold prediction. I think we were on the show together last Sunday and I talked about it maybe a couple of weeks ago.
Did you pick them before the playoffs?
Yeah, well, right as they were making the playoffs, like when they beat the previous team. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So who are you, both you and Mac, who are you picking in this series?
Celtics.
In how many games?
Maybe 5 at the most. They may sweep. Who knows?
5 at
They
the most.
struggled against the Pacers.
Wow. Okay, Mac, what about you?
I say 6. I see the Celtics in 6.
They struggled with the Pacers a couple times.
I like the Celtics in 7.
Ooh.
I think this is going to go down to the wire, and they're going to win Game 7 in Boston. Very tough, hard game. I think Luka rises to the occasion. He always rises to the occasion, it seems. Luka's a great player. I think Kyrie's going to be really good. I think the Celtics are just better, well-rounded all around as a team. And assuming Porzingis can come back and make a contribution, it's going to be a tough series. And the Mavs have surprised me. I mean, I didn't think they were going to beat the Timberwolves. I mean, I thought maybe they'd I'm not, I don't even remember who I picked between them and OKC, but I know this. I didn't think the Mavs were going to the finals. There was
Kyrie and Doncic.
I know I picked the Mavs. Yeah, I thought they definitely lose to Minnesota. That didn't happen. And
what's funny?
Yeah.
What's funny in that is, would Dallas have beaten the Nuggets? I don't think so. It's all about the matchups of the games you play, right? The Celtics, I think, can win. Of course, Luka's going to be tough for anybody to guard. He's going to get his. It's do the bigs in Dallas play there? What does the rest of the team do? That's what really determines a lot of the games. What the players off the bench and your key players, what do they do during each game? And who ends up winning it. And, we got to wait till Thursday. I don't know why we got to wait for Thursday to watch the championship. I mean, I don't think it takes, almost a week to get from one game to another.
The chemistry, I just want to say with the Mavs, with Kyrie and Luka, it didn't seem exceptional. It just has come together during the playoffs. All of a sudden, the chemistry is truly there for the first time in these playoffs. And they beat an LA Clipper team that was missing Kawhi Leonard. Had the Clippers had a healthy Kawhi Leonard playing for them in that series, maybe they're the team that advances and not the Dallas Mavs. So and then they played an OKC team who really, a young team who in reality was just happy to be there. In reality, not that they didn't want to win, you always want to win. But OKC had a great season no matter what. So there wasn't that real hunger there with the OKC team. And but then to beat the Timberwolves the way they did, very impressive. And the Celtics, they just coasted into the finals. I mean, they lose one game to the Miami Heat in the series, but they dominate them. They lose one game to the Cavaliers, but they were always a step ahead of them, never threatened. And then they played 3 close games with the Pacers. It's like they were doing just enough to win. Like I said, they were like treading water to just get there. But they're not going to be able. They're going to have to be at the top of their game, the Celtics against the Mavs. They're going to have to turn it up a little bit of a notch. I don't want to hear that their record's the Celtic record in these playoffs. They've only lost 2 games so far going into the finals, but they haven't played particularly well because they know how good they are. But now they're really going to have to take it up a level because Luka's going to make them.
I was just going to piggyback and say on that, this is going to have to be Jason Tatum's stand-up year for real, because this is going to be what separates him from being one of the other greater players. We've seen this narrative before, okay, the Celtics, whatever, what have you. But Jason Tatum is going to have to be the leader he is on that team. They're going to have to play really ball. Like you said, they've just been coasting the entire time. They're going to really have to stand up and stand in the gap against this Mavs team. And like James pointed out, if Porzingis comes back, they're really going to have to step up, because you're going to look at a Mavs team that's got 3 big names coming into this game, and they're going to be ready to play.
You make a nice point about Jason Tatum, I just want to say, and then I'll hear you out, Matt. When you talk about the great players in the NBA, the big stars, his name doesn't quite come up, and he's been in the league for years.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about Luka, you're talking about Jokic, you're talking about Giannis, you're talking about Embiid. You
Hmm.
know, somehow his name just doesn't quite
Nope.
come up. You talk about Steph Curry, big series by him, that all changes. He's on the short list of the top 5 for sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
You
Matt.
know, we talk about the Celtics just getting by or winning by 2 points, or it doesn't matter when you look back at the series. The win is the win, and then whether it's by 2 or it's a blowout, nobody remembers that stuff. At the end of the day, you say, well, the Celtics won and they swept, or Dallas won in 5. That's all that you remember at the end of the year, or next year, or the year after that. So I really don't put no credence to that. As far as Tatum goes, I don't think Tatum has anything to prove. I think the Boston Celtics have something to prove. Tatum, we all know, is an all-star. He's a great player, continues at this level. He's going in the Hall of Fame. The Celtics, can the Celtics beat the Mavericks and win a championship again? That's the question. We forget it's a team sport, even though it's only a 5-member team. It's still a team sport. And if Tatum hits for 50 points and the Celtics lose, who cares? Nobody cares.
Matt. Unfortunately, in this modern era, people judge you according to rings. It's silliness a lot of the time, but it's the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you get.
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that, but what I'm saying is it's not Tatum who wins the championship. It's the Boston Celtics. You might say Jack Tatum or Tatum and the Celtics won the championship, but it's the Celtics. I mean, Larry Bird, as great as he was without Kevin McHale, who knows how many championships he would have won. It's a matter of you got your star, that's fine. Brown might be as big a star as Tatum is,
Yeah.
but this year anyway. But the point is, the Celtics win the championship, not Tatum. The Mavericks.
No, but what the point is this: when you talk about the very best players in the NBA, and you talk about the short list of a few names, okay? Jason Tatum's name doesn't come into the conversation if you have to name the top 3 or 4 players in the NBA.
So
He wouldn't make anyone's list. If they win the NBA championship and he's outstanding, that changes.
You said Embiid. Embiid also hasn't won a championship yet, but
But he doesn't have. Okay, but Embiid's name comes up. Okay,
okay.
You know, and
so what I'm saying, Jack, just because Tatum doesn't have a championship doesn't mean at his position he's not one of the best in the league. Embiid is the one that carries the Tatum does not have to carry the Celtics. Big difference. He could, but he doesn't have to.
Mac,
it's still a team sport.
I can say that Dan Marino was the greatest quarterback of all time. I can say that. That would be a valid argument, but no one rates him in the top few for the simple reason he never won a championship. They'll rate Brady, Manning, Mahomes.
Because he played for the Miami Dolphins, Jack. If he played for the Chicago Bears, maybe the Chicago Bears have 3 Super Bowls in a row. Marino's their quarterback. I don't know.
I agree with you completely.
To me, it's a mute.
But Miami had good teams. They
were okay, Jack. They were good.
Miami never had a losing season.
They were a very good team. They were not a Super Bowl caliber team.
They came up. Okay, but they had Don Shula as their coach.
So what? I'm just telling you. That we're not talking the 70s Dolphins now. We're talking about
exactly what this.
So wait a minute. So you're saying championship, and this is the last thing I'll say. You're telling me. Wait a minute. This is the last thing I'm saying. So you're telling me that Bob Greasy, because he won 2 Super Bowls, is thought of higher than Dan Marino?
No, he's not as good. No, but Mac, you're missing the point. I'm talking about.
Has he thought of his highest? What? I'm just saying. I mean, you can't have it both ways.
You're not making a good point.
You can't have it both ways, Jack. You can't have it both ways. You can't say we're thought of because of championship.
It's about perception.
Because if you were going to think of it like that, you would say
Mac,
that
you're not listening to Don
Jim
Singer's
Plunkett is a
perception,
better
Mac.
quarterback than Dan Marino if you want to count Super Bowls, Jack. So that's ridiculous.
Mac, you're making it personal. It's not me.
I'm not making it personal. I'm telling you what you said is
I
partially
actually
right.
read an article that did say exactly what Jack and I are saying, as well as James, that this will put Jason Tatum in the talks, because at the end of the day, it's literally just the general consensus. It's just how people feel. Like, that's where I saw the idea. I read it on Bleacher Report and Sports Illustrated. They're always talking about it.
Let me tell you, those are fans of players, not of teams. That's okay. You can root for whoever
I'm
you
a
want.
fan of Jason Tatum. You're right. I'm not a fan of the Celtics, but I like
There
Jason
you go.
Tatum from Duke,
Exactly.
so maybe so.
Exactly. Folks, have a great Sunday. Hope you enjoyed the show. Jack and Frank will be on Monday night in Glove Fist. Start spreading the news. The Yankee fans, the Yankees show will be on at 9 p.m. Eastern. Guys, have a great day. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy your Sunday.